Welcome, everyone, to the first ever Skin and Bones podcast. It's November 14th, 2021, and this is going to be a momentous occasion commemorating the first ever time Zach and I were able to put up with each other. Just kidding. So my name is Peter Gust. I'm a board certified dermatologist. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction for this first episode. And kind of go from there. We're really excited to be doing this.
First one.
Go from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Zach, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, Peter's got a little longer intro. He's board certified. He's done. My name is Dr. Zachary. I am in my last year of orthopedic surgery residency. I'm the bones side of the skin and bones out here in California. And Peter and I met each other in medical school, probably polar opposite people. And, we became good friends. Peter was in my wedding. And it's the opposite personalities that we have that made us so close. And like you said earlier, this is probably the only time that we can deal with each other.
Jokes. We got jokes. Right now, I'm practicing in Austin, Texas. Zach's in California. We're doing this remotely. So it's going to be a trial and error, but we're very excited to kind of throw up some content on the internet, get our voices out there. Our wives say that we have a lot to say, need a few more ears to listen to it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is we've been talking about it, right? But our wives have been the one you guys need to do this. And the weird part is so I was at the gym earlier and I just searched medicine on podcasts, and it's all about medicine and stories about medicine and everything. And when we talked, we were we don't want it to be like that. It's just, there's a lot of people out there who may listen who are in the medical community or not in the medical community who just, don't know what it's like. And we're just two normal guys who have different views on things, who are in two different specialties. But we have a lot of the common morals and things that are together. And that's what makes us, I think, kind of a little unique.
Yeah, I like that. We, throughout our medical training, we'll get into this throughout the episodes, what medical training involves. We'll probably have some residents, medical students, maybe finding our podcast or our vlog we're going to throw up on YouTube as well. Basically, trying to learn how to live a normal life after medical education is kind of an interesting feat. Trying to readapt into pop culture, watching sports, talking about normal things. I think that a lot of the reason why I personally wanted to make this podcast is because it's hard to just connect with a lot of the people outside of medicine in just everyday talk. Just kind of making a valid, just making an effort to do that.
And I think the thing is people who listen to this will probably be involved in medicine at first, but orthopedics and dermatology are two of the hardest things to get into. For those people who don't know, when you go, and we'll talk about it, but when you go through medical school, you have to be at the top of your class. And so when you're saying getting back into pop culture and things, we before medicine, we were both out and about and knew a lot about going on, but then our 20s were spent, just engulfed in medicine and just work. And, but we do have a lot to say, and we follow things that are going on, but just to dive back into it and just to talk about it openly. And, speaking of that, I just turned 33. Thanks for the call, jerk.
No, I realize that. I know.
Yeah. Thanks.
I know.
But
I missed his birthday. That's basically what he's saying. I missed his birthday. I didn't call him. I realized it after the fact, but realizing you missed someone's birthday after the fact takes a little bit of guts. And I'm glad we can do this in an open forum for the entire internet to see how much you mean to me. So really kind of the basic topics that we're going to cover. We'll cover medicine. We'll talk sports. We'll talk news. We'll kind of go from there. The internet's a little bit choppy right here. We might have to edit this out. But kind of the whole audience that we're reaching isn't limited. We try to sit down and talk about a demographic we're trying to reach. But honestly, we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff on this podcast.
Yeah. And It's a Sunday. It's also Lord's Day, and that's one thing that Peter and I, even though Peter is a Seventh Day Adventist, so it's not the Lord's Day, but we both come from a Christian background, and
Mhm.
it's a little bit different, but it's something that again our morals and who we are kind of just it lands upon, and there's more to life than just medicine and everything
Yeah,
else. And we're both married to
there we go.
amazing women
Who we don't
who keep
deserve.
us in line. Who, yeah,
Who we don't deserve.
bingo, who we don't deserve. That's
Cynthia and Megan
100%.
are saints.
They
Every day
are.
we wake up, we bless the gods that gave them to us. So um, no matter what day you worship on, that's definitely something that we have in common.
Yeah.
I really, thinking back, Cynthia actually came up with the name for our podcast out of the
Dude,
blues.
mad props to Cynthia.
Mad props to Cynthia.
Leave it to the one person who, like, the creative bones in our body are not there. Cynthia, mad props, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Skin and bones. I love it.
It's just, I mean, the more I think about it, it goes beyond our specialties in medicine. You can kind of look at it from multiple different ways, but we want to talk about the nuts and bolts of life, which is skin and bones. That's what we are
God, I
at
love
a
you say that.
fundamental purpose. But at the same time, we want to dive deeper into some issues that mean a lot outside of medicine, saying that we are more than skin and bones, and diving a little bit deeper. So, I mean, I think it's a great name, and Cynthia deserves
Yeah.
a lot of props for it. But we are not watching football right now, which is surprising. It is 1:00 my time, Central Time, on a Sunday. My beloved Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Green Bay Packers until later, and then Zach has a very prolific football past. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So,
All right, we're back up and running. We had a little internet snafu, but nothing that we can't handle. We were talking about Zach, kind of diving into his background a little bit, so I'll let him take over.
yeah, so I come from a football background. My dad was a football coach in the college and the NFL for a long time. I played football at Fresno State between 2007 and 2011. Played with a lot of great players, some of whom are still playing in the NFL. Some of them, one of them being on the beloved Green Bay Packers of Dr. Gust. But yeah,
Devontae.
it's just a bunch of good guys, and really just kind of developed me. I'm a very go-getter person. Just developed the personality of who I am today. But I mean, I people ask like, do you miss it? I'm like, yeah, I miss it, but goodness gracious, my body could not take it right now. Like, there's no, I don't like Tom Brady. Like, I don't know how old is that guy? Like 46.
I don't. He's too old.
Like he's
He's
like
too old.
46, and
He's
he's
not a
still
human
like.
being.
But he probably, I mean, he invests like $1 million in his body every year,
At
just like
least.
nutrition,
I think it was Russell
everything.
Wilson. Russell Wilson was the one who said he spends a couple $1 million just on
But I mean,
treatments
that's
for his
your
body every year.
job.
Yeah,
That's your job. I mean,
yeah,
like, but at the end of the day, that's you're getting paid multi-million dollars to do it. You got to keep your machine running, right? I mean, it's like
yeah.
Formula One racing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they put millions of dollars into those cars. But I mean, like, part of it, I got injured. Everybody makes a joke. Every orthopedic surgeon got injured playing a sport. That's why they did orthopedic surgery and yada yada yada. But I had a great mentor. But that's why I wanted to be on the other side of the knife, because my mentor, who I had in my life, Dr. Eric Hansen, he has been just more than a mentor in medicine, just a mentor in
Mm-hmm.
life. And I was like, I want to be like him. And he's got a great marriage. He's got a great practice. He's just an outstanding person. So
Yeah, he's able to
yeah,
help a lot of people, and you basically found a mentor in him too.
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And to
yeah.
this
I
day, he did Megan and ours marriage counseling. I mean, he's a big part of our lives.
yeah, that's great. I've been able to witness you through med school, just kind of take all that commitment that you used to have for football and just transition that into the commitment it takes in medical school to study. Because you go from doing 2-a-day practices, instead of doing that, we're studying 14 to 16 hours a day, and it takes a similar type of mindset. And we've kind of had conversations like this before.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it was the first time that like studying was my job, because it
Hmm.
was always split between, being pre-med and a Division I athlete. Like you were always studying or working out or eating, like working on your diet or in the training room or whatever it is. And it was like for the first time in my life, it was like your job is to study and to learn. And it was the first time I was not a student athlete, I was just a student. It was like, so all that energy that I put elsewhere, it was like, I'm just going to put this into studying. And
Yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting, but I actually liked it, oddly
Mhm.
enough. It was weird. I liked medical school. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, just briefly, medical school is 4 years long. You have to get a undergraduate degree before you go to medical school, and then residencies are basically what you go to after you're a doctor and you're learning your craft. So Zach's doing orthopedic surgery, and I do dermatology. But there's a whole host of different residencies. You can do family medicine, internal medicine. Those are usually your primary care doctors. And then they reach out to any specialists if they need them. So just kind of those of you who don't know the medical journey, that's kind of a quick rundown of
Yeah.
it. So I still can't believe Zach hangs out with me when he has all these NFL players that he knows.
Well, I mean, I talk to him every once in a while, but like the good friends are the ones who you do life with, right? Like obviously, like Devonte Adams is a great. I haven't talked to Devonte in years, and I'm sure if I
Yeah,
see him, I'd say hi, and we'd have a good like catch up and everything like
yeah,
that. But like we've done life together. Like
for
we've done
sure.
a lot of life together, you know. So
Yeah,
like you and I
yeah,
have a great friendship. Like,
yes,
and
sir.
yeah, I mean, you know, a misnomer for undergrad too is like you don't have to do biology or chemistry or any of the sciences.
Hmm.
Like we had some people at our medical school who were music majors, and
Yeah,
then you have to take like a certain number of classes that count towards your your medical degree,
yeah,
not your medical, but your pre-med like core curriculum. And so, yeah, you can do anything. And so they're actually looking for like more diverse backgrounds now, as far
hmm,
as like what you majored in, what you did. You know, they don't want I mean, the biology major, you know,
yeah.
4.0 all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're getting out into practice because I'm newly into my own practice. I work in a private practice right now, but just kind of transitioning from the memorizing of the facts, trying to pass the tests of medical school, and even in residency, just trying to please your supervising physicians and going through the motions in that way. And now it's more so uh, I'm trying to learn how to get on the same page with my patients and kind of encourage them to take ownership of their own health. And that's really hard to do because which can go into another topic because there's different types of viewpoints patients have when they come in. They either come in and they look at it from a more paternalistic standpoint. They want you to tell them what's going to make them be better, like a father figure, telling their kids, this is what you need to do, and this is the way you need to do it. And they're not going to have a say. And that's a lot of patience. But what we're teaching more so in medical school is trying to team up and advocate for patients to take ownership of their health. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Even the patients that want a paternalistic approach, you got to give them some ownership because we may have the training,
Totally.
but at the same time, if you don't get buy-in from the patients, that they need to take a little bit of ownership as far as their own health goes, then you're not doing everything you can for them as far as like promoting a well-rounded life. And that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. The paternalistic side versus the promotion of actually ownership on the patient side. I don't know if you've run into stuff like that lately, Zach.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head, though, right? It's like
Yeah.
the hardest thing, and there's actually studies that show this, is lifestyle changes. It's
Hmm.
really hard. Everyone wants the magical pill. Everyone wants the magical surgery that
Yeah.
makes things better. They don't want to take things into their own hand and you know, not drink as much alcohol, or not go and eat fast food as much, or not do or go to the gym for, you know, 30 minutes
Hmm.
5 times a week. Like they don't
Hmm.
want to do that. And so, you know, it's interesting for you
Hmm.
that, you know, you run into that all the time now, and it's your ownership right now. Like as a resident, it's not really your ownership. Like you,
Sure.
for me, like I operate on these patients, but once you do a surgery as the primary surgeon, you really own that patient and their care for
Hmm.
that issue for the rest of their life. Like right now, I'm on a rotation where I'm doing total joints, so total knees and total hips. And one of the biggest things that we know from data is that the higher the BMI, or the body mass index, or what your height is to your weight, the worse off your objective and subjective outcomes are. Objective being infection rates and wound problems, things like that, and subjective, which is
Yeah.
how do you feel after it. And so one of the biggest things that we have a hard time telling patients is, hey, you got to lose weight. Hey, you got to stop smoking.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you got to get your diabetes under control, or else we can't do the surgery. And you know, like you said, it's hard, but you know what? the thing is that they hear a lot of patients, and it'll be interesting for you to hear from their friends, like, hey, my friend got his total knee, or he got this procedure done from dermatology and they're so much better, and I just want that. Why can't I be like that? Why can't
Mhm.
you do that for me? It's like they don't see the bad parts of it. They don't see
Sure.
the outcomes that don't go so well all the time. And
Yeah.
we're not out there trying to hurt people, but sometimes things happen and the
Yeah.
outcomes aren't as good. So we just try to limit those as much as possible, and we're not trying
Yeah.
to be bad.
No. Yeah. I think patients, the more honest you are with your patients, even when it makes you look bad, I think that's when you actually get the most respect. And you need to bring yourself. You're a physician, but at the same time, you have to bring the human aspect in,
Yeah.
and be okay saying when a mistake has happened or you don't know something, because doctors, a lot of them feel like it's really hard to say when they don't know something. But I think that's probably one of the best characteristics you can find in a doctor, is if they say that they don't know something, but they need to follow that up with, I'm going to look it up and I'm going to find the best research that's out there. And then we're going to come up with a plan. I just need a little more or a few more resources to take a look at. So it's all about
Yeah.
honesty, but
Yeah, and I
go
mean,
ahead.
you're early on in your practice. I mean, you're just starting, and I'm
Yeah,
almost done and going into fellowship, right?
there
Like,
you go.
I'm sure over the years, like, this is going to change, right? But
Yeah.
I think understanding that as physicians, we're still human. We're still
Hmm.
fallen, broken people. We're not perfect by any
Nope.
stretch of the imagination. We're good at our crafts. We're
Yes.
very good because
We've spent time
we
doing it. We've put hours in, and just like anything else, it takes practice to be good at something. Yeah.
Bingo. And so that's why, your residency was 4 years, mine's 5 years plus a
Hmm.
1 year fellowship, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is a lot of time in the operating room, and it's a lot of time seeing how things are done right. And it's a lot of
Mhm.
time, seeing how, things that come in that probably weren't done right at another place, or outcomes that weren't so good, and fixing
Yeah.
those. And we see all aspects of it. And so it's an interesting ride for sure. But going back to what you said about the patient kind of owning that, I
Hmm.
feel like when you have that with the patient is when you do have the best outcomes.
Yeah.
Um, is when a
Hmm.
patient understands and is realistic about what their goals are, of
Yeah.
what they're getting, and understanding about their overall health. And I think
Hmm.
that's one thing, in a society that we live where it's go, 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 go,
Hmm.
that people don't take advantage of their own health a lot.
No,
So I think
including
that's why.
ourselves. We're human in that
Oh,
way. It's hard to build a habit. Once you build a habit, it becomes a little bit easier. It's always overcoming that first little bit of friction in building a new habit, whether it's your health, whether it's like trying to build relationships. Like you and I made a concerted effort to make this podcast. For one of
yeah,
the reasons is just connect. I hope
yeah.
that we can bring on a lot of our friends as guests, who do amazing things outside of our fields and within our
Mhm.
fields. We'll end up bringing them on here, connecting with them. Maybe we haven't talked in a while. Like this will be a way to kind of give people an idea of what we've gone through in our journey and what kind of interests us and our passions. But at the same time, it lets us connect with people that we care about. So I think it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So we
Yeah,
talk a
and I
lot about
think
medicine. Yeah, go ahead.
maintaining those connections too, right? Like, it's just
Mhm.
like you and I call each other probably weekly and connect and do life together. And there's some people who are way more interesting than us, probably.
Oh, for
Not probably,
sure.
definitely.
Yes. Lots of
Uh,
people. Lots
and
of
do
people.
way more cool things that we do.
Yes,
But
yes.
yeah, it'll be a good way to connect. And like you said, like, a part of your overall health, like, I think as residents, we neglected our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health for a long time. And our marital health, our
Yeah.
wives, shoot, we'll have them on here these times. They'll be like, yeah. But it's finding a person who understands what you're going through and understands the path that we've taken and the responsibility that we have
Mhm.
as physicians to our patients is something
Yeah.
that's golden, and that I would never give up, and that I respect my wife
Yeah.
Megan for so much.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard unless you know someone in medicine. It's hard to know the conditioning, or basically like we were so conditioned to study, 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 and make the most out of every day. It took me years to get out of that habit and get out of that feeling that when I was just taking it easy or watching TV, that I shouldn't be doing something else, shouldn't be being
I
productive with
remember.
my time. And
Yeah,
it's
we've
so
had
hard
those
to get.
conversations. You're like, I
It's
don't know what to do.
Yeah, because at a certain point you've learned all
You're
this stuff.
you're
Yeah.
you're like Ricky Bobby. You're like to do with my hands. I don't
what
know what to do with my
what do I do
hands.
with my hands, Ricky Bobby? The references are on point. It just comes back to balance, and part of the reasons for making this podcast is to kind of push us outside our comfort zones and bring in a little bit more balance, bring in a new um, kind of, I don't know, hobby for us too, I guess.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about medicine. I think that I want to bring up right now something that's been really intriguing for me, at least the past couple months or so. They're calling it the Great Resignation. People are quitting their jobs left and right faster than they ever have in the past. You and I think, would have varying opinions on why this is happening.
Probably.
Um, I think it has a lot to do with the pandemic. I don't think it's across one sector, because I've talked to my friends in finance, consulting. They're having their bosses all quit. 2, 3 bosses like in 1 week. I've had like a high turnover even in my close proximity in my jobs. And I'm seeing it all around me. And Cynthia, even at her place, there's just like an incredible turnover, and it's hard to even hire anybody right now. But they're kind of coining it the Great Resignation. And my thoughts on it are basically, I think that people are just, with the pandemic, just taking a step back and saying, am I being paid what I'm worth? Am I valuing my time by working at a job that I don't enjoy? There's a certain mentality that you need to just put your head down and grit through a job that you won't always enjoy. But I think that people are really taking into account like the fragility of life at this point, and spending time with their families, and they're looking at their job and they're saying, well, I'd rather just spend the time with my family, even if they're not providing for them, because they might not know how much time they have with them left. I mean, that's just kind of a couple of my thoughts. I just wanted to see what you thought about all that.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from with that. And like, so the thing with the pandemic, right, is that like for us, for me, it's like I was still working every day. I was
Yeah,
still, there was no time off. I mean, at the height of it, there was some, we did some things where we were taking, 3 days off to see if someone was symptomatic. And then, we were kind of doing these wave things because everything kind of shut down for a while. But other than that, it was like, life just kept going.
right.
And for a lot of people, that wasn't the case. So it was kind of like that being out of touch of what's going on. But, I think when you look at the statistics, right, it's no wonder people are starting to go back to work now, because there was a lot of people who were out of work because they were
Hmm.
getting unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day, and he was talking about a bartender who was working 3 days a week and making $80,000 because he was collecting unemployment. That's
Yeah.
more than I make in a year,
Yeah.
right? As a resident who operates on people and who works close to 80 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so I think now that the federal government isn't paying people as much now, people are going back to work. But I think it does ring true that people had time to reflect for the first time. I think that we live in a culture and a society that is so beneficial and so productive that it's just go, 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 go. And finally, it was like the world halted,
Yeah.
and people had time to reflect on, is this what I really want to be doing? But at the end of the day, you have to provide. You have to provide for your
Yeah.
family. You have to provide for yourself. You have to put a roof over your head.
It's true.
And so, yeah, like I hear that I think there's aspects of every job that you won't like.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. Yeah. I
I want to
agree.
go pursue something else because this isn't all it's cracked up to be. So
Sure.
it's interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading more and more about it, and there was articles coming out about it, and so just kind of one of those things that when you have time to reflect, what are you reflecting on? And I think people are just looking at their job because it's dominating their time.
Totally.
And so many people are utilizing um, basically having debt work for them, as compared to back in the day, you worked 3 jobs and it was enough money to raise a family of 5, 6 people. But even now, like it takes a lot more money to raise a family, and there's a lot more avenues out there to make money with the money that you have too. And I think people are transitioning more into realizing that everyday individuals can invest, they can learn more about compounding interest and things like that, and just do simple things to set up their future. But at the same time, they're looking at their job and they're like, yeah, it's all this time being utilized the best I could be doing it. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And you know this more than I do, right? Like, I mean, you've been talking about finances and things, and I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to survive residency and learn as much as I can. And like when I get out, I'll learn about it, and actually I have like a bigger income and can start paying off my debt and
Sure.
things like that. But yeah, I mean, like for people who are working jobs 5 days a week and putting in 40, 50 hours a week, it's different, right?
Yeah.
Provide for your family and to look at interests and to look at stock markets and options that people may not have looked at before.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the other coin of this, I was just reading a story today. West Hollywood was the
Hmm.
first county to pass the minimum wage of
Hmm.
17.25
Say that again. You're cutting out.
$17.25 an hour.
Yeah.
That's like $7.25 more than I make an hour.
Based hourly. And that's what people
Right.
don't realize. Like you look at teachers' pay based on hours they work. You look at residents' pay based on hours they work. When you're making salaries and you're thinking about hourly wages, there's a lot of people who make less than that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting perspective for sure. How's the weather over there? Because I miss it.
Uh, yeah. Probably part of that Great Resignation is people getting out of California. But the one thing that stands true about California is the weather for sure. It's
Yeah.
actually really been really foggy here lately.
Uh-huh.
At least where I'm at, and
Hmm.
it's been really nice. I mean, and the weather's pretty great. I can walk outside in shorts right now if I wanted to. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So yeah, it's been cooling off here in Austin, but otherwise we miss the beaches. We definitely miss the beaches. It's been awesome being closer to family here. We
but here's
moved
the thing
over
is,
close to Cynthia's brother, who's just a few miles away, which is awesome.
I think one of the things is that the beaches are great, but like California is so much more than that. Like beaches are great, but like the mountains and Tahoe and Napa
I
Valley,
know,
and there's
I
so
know.
much more beauty to California that is just. I mean,
The redwoods, like everything. Yeah,
everyone just shows Santa Monica Pier. It's overrated. It's like
it is. It totally is.
what they don't show you is the mountains of homeless people that are right down out of the camera shot, right? Like that's what they
It's
don't show you.
true. It's
Yeah.
true. I see it. I see it here in the big cities, but you're hitting the nail on the head. San Diego, we miss a lot. We miss San Diego a lot. Dude, did you see the news about Jeff Bezos freaking out because Leonardo DiCaprio was basically, is it hitting on his girlfriend or something on Twitter?
Wait, what?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos kind of was freaking out because Leonardo DiCaprio. Let me read you the headline.
Oh, whoa, dude. How much? How
Let me see.
like what 28 like that?
Say that
He's
again.
got to be 50. He's got to be in his 50s, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Leonardo
how old is
DiCaprio
how
threatened by Jeff Bezos over flirty video with his girlfriend. I guess Leo was flirting with Jeff Bezos's girlfriend.
dude, that's not the guy to
Um,
mess with. He'll go Clinton on you. He'll go, what's the guy who hung himself in prison? Who's that dude? What's it?
oh yeah,
Epstein.
yeah. When you have that amount of money, that's yeah. I don't think you
I'm
mess with
I'm
people like
I'm
that. Did you see him
I'm
after
just
he went
saying.
up into space? I can't trust people that wear watches over clothing. He wore a watch over his suit.
Yeah, you're a sociopath. That's like it's actually medical textbooks that if you wear a watch over clothing, you're a sociopath for sure.
That's Jeff Bezos. But the other aspect of that is his ex-wife giving away all his money, which is just wonderful.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, we are the most charitable nation in the world, right? That
Yeah,
is a proven fact. I know people say
true.
that the rich need to pay their fair share in taxes more and more and more, but
Yeah,
we give more away in charity than any other nation. I think all nations
true.
combined. Like it's yeah, and you should be. That's her money that she chooses what to do with it, and it's
Yeah,
not up to people to say, "Hey, give me that so I can put it into some program that hasn't worked in years." Like that's,
sure.
I mean, yeah, good for her. I'm happy for her. Like, I mean, she didn't ask for that. I mean, she probably would love to still be married to him. I mean, I don't, no one knows the ins and
That's
outs of it.
true.
I don't know how unhappy they were, but maybe she's like, yeah, I have what, $50 billion or but she happy to him, and
Your audio
whatever
was
the
cutting
fallout
out. Say
was.
that one more time. Your audio was cutting
Oh,
out.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think anyone's thought of the perspective that, like, what if she just loved being married to him and then things didn't work out and she wanted that marriage to work? I think would you trade in $20 billion to be happily married to the man you've been married to for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it's priorities. It's a lot about
I mean,
priorities.
Megan would probably leave me for like way less than that.
Speculation. Strike that from the record.
It's not
I'm
speculative.
just
Just saying, she probably would.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on crypto? I just want to hear a raw
Dude,
stream of consciousness from you about
see,
cryptocurrencies.
here's the thing is that, like, you have time to read about this. You're like the anesthesiologist who are behind the curtain and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to invest into this thing. And I'm like, I'm trying to own that's blown to smithereens right now. You have time to do that. I don't know what it is. I know that there's a small amount of things, and inflation, which is huge, can't mess with it. So I mean, I don't know. It's something that I definitely want to read more about, but
Yeah, I didn't mean to
I
put you on the
just
spot. I knew I
no, but the
just
thing is
wanted.
I don't know enough about it, right? Like, cryptocurrency, it's this new thing. I mean, it's only been in vogue, what, for like 2 years now?
Yeah, it's oh no, it's been out for a long time. It's just kind of taking flight. It's just becoming a little bit more mainstream.
The
And
fact of the
there's some
matter
bigger
that
banks.
Elon
There's
Musk,
banks. Yeah, there's banks in it now. There's huge hedge funds that are in cryptocurrency now, in Bitcoin, in Ethereum. All these cryptocurrencies. There are large hedge funds, people retirements in there that you don't realize yet, and that's the thing. Telling me it's not going to go anywhere, and
but the fact of the matter that Elon Musk can say something about Dogecoin and then it like goes up like 100, whatever it was,
yeah, it's
like just because
manipulation.
someone says something on Twitter, they can manipulate it. Like,
Yeah.
kind of sketchy, right? I mean, I
Oh,
don't know.
super sketchy. But I mean, how many lawmakers are invested in things that they're actively working on? So it's
Dude,
to each their
uh,
own.
yeah, yeah, we're not getting into politics on the first episode, that's for sure. But we can go on all day about
Oh
that.
man.
I think both sides are just like, if you've been in politics for
Hmm.
more than like 3 terms and you're a career politician, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, the president of the United States who's been there for 40 something years, like, you need to get out of it. Like, you're no longer a public servant. You're out for your own good. Like,
Yeah.
there is nothing that is a public servant about you anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you may have been in it for the right reasons in the first place, but if you've been doing it for more than 3 terms, like, come on,
Yeah.
you know?
Cynthia and I've
Yeah.
been watching an interesting show called Goliath. It's about this
Mhm.
lawyer. His name's it played by Billy Bob Thornton, but really interesting. Basically, a big shot lawyer who falls from graces, and now he's trying to actually bring back some of his morals. And he's a little bit of a drunk, but he's just
Just,
brilliant.
just a little bit. Just,
He's just brilliant.
yeah.
He's like one of the most brilliant people ever. I don't know. I enjoy shows like that. It's called Goliath.
Yeah.
Should check it
Yeah.
out.
I've been trying to get Megan to watch a show. Megan loves like Dancing with the Stars and things. And
Hmm.
I do have to say that I have gotten into The Bachelor with her because it's hilarious.
You say it.
But
I do have to say, I
it's
have
like a
gotten
dagger. It's like
to
a
The
dagger
Bachelor.
to
Your
announce that to
voice
the
like
world.
tailed off. Your voice
Yeah.
tailed off.
Yeah, it's a dagger to announce it, but it's something that we bond over, and I just make jokes out of it the whole time. But the show that I've been watching that I think is great is
Uh-huh.
called Dope Sick, and it's on Hulu, and it's about OxyContin
Hmm.
and Purdue Pharma and how they lied to the American people
Wow.
about how it wasn't addictive, and it's got a great cast. And it has, the law story of it from the district attorneys and the DEA and Purdue Farm
Hmm.
and the Sackler family. But
Interesting.
then it goes through, because they started in small mining towns.
Hmm.
That's how they launched it. And
Huh.
it tells stories of a physician who I forget, he was in that movie Birdman. He's been in a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
um, he who becomes addicted, and it tells a story about the community that
Mhm.
it just got ruined, and how there was a huge part. And this was in the 90s, so I mean, we didn't really know what was going on, and I remember hearing about it in the news.
Yeah.
But like, to watch the story of it, I'm sure some of it's dramatized, but a lot of it is actually true.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter, that's crazy. And I think the takeaway is that a pharmaceutical company manipulated the FDA and
Hmm.
medical evidence, and manipulated medical journal articles to make it favorable to say that it wasn't addictive. And so
Yeah.
doctors got these studies, got the FDA approval, and were prescribing it as such because they were getting it from medical literature, which is just crazy how they manipulated that. Because when you know the background of everything that goes into it, it's like,
Hmm.
how did this happen? And
Sure.
can it happen again?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. It's for those of you listening or watching, medical education is based on facts. You need to know how the body works and what to do when it goes
totally.
wrong. But there's so much more to know now, that a large part of medical education is learning how to decipher good evidence from bad evidence, and understanding bias. And
Yeah.
what Zach's talking about is basically there was an incredible amount of manipulation and bias that can be hidden within even the most prestigious of journal articles, and even
Yeah.
brought up from the most prestigious doctors. This isn't I don't talk about this to make our listeners or anyone out there not trust medical experts, because you should, because
Yeah.
they've gone through it. But if you hear other medical experts that actually have the credentials, know how to appraise the literature basically, and they're calling them out, that's when you should have a little bit of skepticism. But having a little bit of skepticism, I don't think ever hurts. It's just there's so much more that goes into the whole process of science and the scientific production
Yeah.
of how we should the protocols that come into place to tell us how we should practice medicine. There's a lot that
Yeah.
goes into that, and they're constantly dynamically changing. I think a lot of people with the pandemic get frustrated because things change pretty rapidly. Should we wear masks?
Well,
Should we not
everything
wear
was
masks?
politicized. Everything
Yes.
was politicized.
Yes.
And here's, don't listen to politicians about your health.
No.
Talk
No.
to
No.
your
No.
doctor. That's what
Mhm.
family doctors are there for. Like, people talk to me, and I read a little bit about it, but I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I talk to my friends who are in family practice or internal medicine or
Yes.
respiratory, and that's who I talk
Yeah.
to get, the facts about things. Don't listen to a politician. They're,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. You
like
don't go to a
like
gardener to fix your car.
this is our job. Our job is to be the experts in the field that we dedicate our lives to.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, but whoever the correspondent is for the White House is not a medical expert.
No.
Okay. And there's going to be a spin, and there's going to be something. Go talk to your family practitioner. Go talk to someone who knows, who can give you data, and someone who you trusted. And I think that's one thing. I'm obviously an orthopedic surgeon, but like, family practitioners have a huge job of leading people through healthy lives and giving them data,
Mhm.
especially in times like this. I feel like that's a huge thing, is to
Yeah.
give people the information and the knowledge. And I think
Mhm.
that's one thing that has really frustrated me, talking about the pandemic, is like, when you hear or read the news, they really talk to people like they're dumb. People are not dumb. They're actually
Mhm.
really smart, and they know how to individually think for themselves.
Mhm.
And we don't need to be pandered to. And when I talk to patients, it's like, hey, these are the facts, and these are the things I can tell you. I can't tell you what to do with your body. It's your body. I can
Mhm.
I can really, really say, hey, you should probably do this.
Yeah.
But I can't 100% tell you to do that, because it's not my body.
Sure.
But I'm the medical expert in this field. And so when I hear, a news analysis to tell me something like they are the gospel truth, it's like, dude, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. I have these conversations with a lot of close family members and friends. Just kind of everyone's got angles for why they say things. Everyone has certain agendas that bring in viewers that get clicks.
Yeah.
We probably will eventually talk about things on here that we know people will be interested in, because we want to feed a little more information to the audience that's listening to us, that type of thing. Like that's gonna happen. That's human nature. But being aware of that and kind of self-reflecting on what you're actually, the news media that you are getting, because all these algorithms on Facebook and social media, they're just, it's like an echo chamber. You're basically getting fed things that you already believe, and you're not seeing the alternative side of things. And until you actually see both viewpoints and kind of assess the way people have gotten to that, those ideas. Can you hear me?
You are. Yeah, there you
okay.
are. But I mean, yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. That's the scary thing, is like there are algorithms that are, and this is why I don't have social media, right? I read the articles.
We're gonna have to change that.
I know we are.
We're gonna make
I
you
hate you
social
for
media,
that,
because some people
and
might want to talk to you and tell you everything you're saying is awful.
Megan is so pumped about that. She's like, you're gonna have to have an Instagram. She's like so stoked. But that's the thing, is like, you know, when you're on social media, it is social media, and that's where a lot of people get their news from, and that's what scares me, right? As you scroll through Facebook, you see a picture with a headline, and it's like, is that the news that you're taking in? Like, or do you actually read the full article and understand? Because a lot of times where the money is like 7 paragraphs deep.
Yeah.
And then you get the full picture, but nobody wants to read that much. They'd rather see, you know, someone throw an incredible touchdown pass or something like that. You know, it's just like,
you need first person accounts. You need first person accounts. And if you weren't there, it's going to be a game of telephone a lot of the time, and it can be manipulated.
Exactly. And I think the thing is like when you're on social media, your brain is in an entertainment mode. It wants to be entertained. It wants to see fun things and like that. But if you're reading for knowledge and view your paradigm of the world and what's going on in your surroundings, that's not the paradigm, right? So it's like, I read the news with that paradigm. I read for information. And I feel like social media has taken advantage of that with the algorithms, and with people saying, you know, hey, let's turn off the mind, let's scroll through, and oh, you know, here's a bad story with a picture, and that's what I tag it to now. And I think that's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah, it is scary. We're definitely going to put this up on YouTube, and we're going to utilize Google Podcasts and a lot of Google products. But I've said this for a long time, that Google's one of the scariest entities in the world.
Yeah, you want to know when I told
because they know everything about you, but they're like in the background and nobody knows it. They know everything about you.
Yeah, and I told people that I was going to do a podcast, and the first thing, like everyone said, the first thing, watch what you say. And isn't that scary? They're like, don't say anything bad. Don't say, even you including, by the way. You're like, Zach.
I said that.
You're like, you gotta reel it in. You gotta reel it in.
I would never censor you like that. I can't imagine saying something like that.
But it's like, you know, I'm just gonna call them, you know, I think we live in a society that doesn't have a lot of grace anymore, right? Like people say and do things out of line and sometimes emotionally charged. And, you know, and humility is a lost word. No one can say they're wrong anymore, especially the people who are supposed to be the leaders of our society.
Well, that goes to doctors too. That's what I was trying to, the point I was making before, is doctors don't know how to say they're wrong sometimes. And leaders, politicians, athletes, I mean, even pastors and people in like religious leadership roles, like it's a human thing.
And I think that's one of the things though, right? Is like coming from a Christian background, it's like, I think part of being a follower of Jesus is understanding one truth, is that you are a fallen and broken person, and there is nothing you can do to get right with God except through Jesus, right? Like that is the foundation of Christianity, right? And so and that is such a humility that people don't have, is like understanding that I'm going to make mistakes in everything that I do, but it's okay. And so are other people, and giving them that grace. But it's just like, I feel like more and more now, we just got down. We got to double down. I mean, like, just people just need to stop and take a breath and understand that We are not perfect. You are
Hmm.
not perfect. Other people are
Nope.
not perfect. And just give them some grace.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. You can look at it. I mean, we talk about cancel culture, but cancel culture goes both ways. Like someone trying to cancel you for something, and then
100%.
the opposite side's trying to cancel the people trying to cancel them. And it's just like, where does this end? Grace, like you're saying, is where we start to put an end to it. Giving each other a little leeway can definitely go a long way. That's interesting. Speaking about cancel culture, it makes me think about Aaron Rodgers and his comments to the media regarding the vaccine. Okay. So we're just going to move, since we started talking about cancel culture, we'll go on to one guy who brought up cancel culture, being Aaron Rodgers, one of my favorite football players of all time for my beloved Green Bay Packers. He basically said that when he was asked earlier in the year, he was asked, did you get the vaccine? And he said, yes, I'm immunized. And it just came to light that he didn't get the vaccine. And I have a certain amount of angst towards him for that. I think that it was a little bit dishonest.
What's your thought? Because you're a diehard Packers fan. Like,
I know,
what's your
and I
thought?
I lost a lot of respect for him over it.
Yeah.
I think that certain people, it goes back to like knowing who to talk to about things, and unless you're, I read a quote, and it's basically saying that unless you're talking to Joe Rogan about podcasting or UFC, then he's not necessarily a reputable source about anything else.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
mean,
an
that's
opinion.
true.
It's definitely an
But
opinion.
but it goes against your point though. He's a football player. So why is everyone getting all bent out of shape about it?
Well, he's a football player that supposedly went through 500 pages of research, and he said he wasn't frivolous about his research. And I just think that it's a little frivolous when your main person you're going to is Joe Rogan to talk about things. Well, I'm not saying, I think he might still, I think he understands how the vaccine's supposed to work. I think
Yeah.
that he believes in personal autonomy,
Yeah.
which is one side of the coin.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that believe
I
that, and there's a lot of people that believe that public health kind of trumps personal autonomy. So, I mean, that's always going to be the argument. What do you
I
think?
hope he just after all this hate though, he just puts up the middle finger and throws for 404 touchdown passes though.
He probably will, and then he's going to
Like
drink a huge glass of whiskey, and he's going to age 10 more years. And Tom Brady will still look like a Ken doll,
yeah.
and keep throwing passes to all of the all-stars he's accrued on his team.
I mean, he has the formula.
I know. I hate it so
There's
much.
no hey,
Yeah, I'm the
there's no
ultimate Tom Brady hater.
controversy in Tampa Bay. There's no controversy in Tampa Bay, is there?
There isn't.
That's
But he
why he
also made
wins.
sure everyone got vaccinated. So my biggest thing is you can't say you're all in to win a championship and not do everything possible to stay on the field. And he's not, in
This
my mind, doing everything possible to stay on the field unless he got vaccinated.
I like, but it goes back down to autonomy. Obviously, like what he said was misleading, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it shouldn't matter about if he did or didn't. I guess what he said, and I watched the whole Pat McAfee thing because I love watching Pat McAfee show. I think he's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, I guess his whole team knew that he wasn't, which is one thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy for everyone on the outside to judge, but if everyone on the inside knew and accepted that, then you know what? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter for him. But here's the thing: is like the goalposts are going to keep on shifting, no matter
Yeah.
what we do. Which is, I think, what is the most frustrating thing for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to wear a mask. No, you have to wear a double mask. Then you have to do this. Then you have to do that. In California, we're still, you know, you still have to wear a mask everywhere you go. Like when's it going to end? When's it going to stop? When are we going to get back to life?
We
When are
don't
we going
know.
to accept? When are we going to accept that, as you and I both know, that this thing is going to continue to mutate because it's an mRNA virus and it has the ability to do that very, very rapidly, and accept it that this is going to be a risk that we're going to live with for the rest of our lives. Period. End of story. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I still remember talking to people about this. I never thought it was, you remember learning about coronaviruses in medical school? like the
I
most
do.
inconspicuous thing. They're like, yeah, it causes one of the most common colds. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. If we were to pick one thing in med school that we thought would shut down the world, that would be one of the last things we would ever pick.
Yeah. But it's the one thing that has the innate ability to do it, right? I mean, like, look at what it's done to the world.
Mm-hmm,
And I like that's my thing. Like that's where I'm at right now, right? Like
mm-hmm,
I can sum it up if someone asked me about vaccines. You should get in a vaccine if you're an adult. If you don't, everyone has the ability in the United States of America to get a vaccine. You understand the risks. And then the
mm-hmm,
counter arguments to that is, well, what about the people who go into the ICU who aren't vaccinated? Well, you know what? There's risks to doing everything. Are we going to stop people from getting on BMX bikes and getting their legs shattered? No.
mm-hmm. I'm
No,
listening.
you know how many times who I see people who are addicted to drugs who get hit by cars or get in car accidents or drunk drivers? Are we going to stop those and say we're not going to care for those people?
Yeah,
No. So
yeah.
your argument is invalid. It's just like we have to have an informed community who
Mm-hmm.
makes decisions, and physicians, as you and I, who know the data behind it, should
Yeah.
say that adults should get vaccinated. It works. It prevents you from getting hospitalized if you get sick. There's new data that's coming out that's showing that some of the variants you can still get it and still spread
Mm-hmm.
it, which is going to happen. Like it's not going anywhere. Like I
No,
can't stress that enough, is that, and I'm not as read up as a respiratory therapist or anyone else, but from
me
what I
neither.
have
I'm not.
read,
Yeah.
is it's not going anywhere, and we need to learn how to just live with this and accept the risk. And as physicians, as healthcare providers, we should be able to give the facts to our patients and say that this is recommended highly for you. But
Mm-hmm.
it comes down to people to make intelligent and knowledge-based decisions to get it right.
I hear you. Yeah, I think it goes back to we should be giving everyone the facts, is what you're saying, and I think people
Yeah.
are getting the facts from the wrong places. And I think the idea of fear comes into play. I think there's a lot of fear of the vaccine and what its long-term effects could be, and I've seen that. I've seen that in my patients and people around me, family, friends.
Yeah.
But there's also fear of the virus itself. So I mean, on either side of the coin, we're fearing something. But
But why
having the
would you want to
ability
live
to
your
weigh,
life in fear?
yeah, I know,
That's what
it's
I'm
true.
saying. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, just live your life and protect yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm thinking about
I don't want
the song
I
now.
don't want to live my I like I was never, when I was doing my rounds, like, because I was one of the first people to get the vaccination because I took a Hippocratic oath to protect my patients, and whatever the
Yeah,
medical community was saying to protect my patients, I was going to get. Was I scared of getting it and dying? No, I was never scared of it. I
yeah,
wasn't. I take care of my body, and I hope, and you know what, if it happened, it happened. Like, it'd be terrible.
sure.
Like, I was in the other day, I saw a 25-year-old male with no medical comorbidities, prone, right?
Yeah,
On a intubated. It
uh-huh.
happens, right? Like, but but what the media will tell you is that's like everywhere. That's not very common. And
The immediate is exaggeration central.
and you can't like, the moment that you start living your life in fear is the moment that you stop living.
Mm.
Like, you
Should
gotta
we
live
put
your.
that as the quote for this episode?
Oh, just love it. I love it.
Oh man. So for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, basically give us a shout out, give us comments. We'll be on social media. We'll have the links posted underneath the description of both our podcasts. They'll be syndicated across Spotify, Apple, you name it, and then it'll be on YouTube as well. We'll put some links into things that we've talked about today for sure. But give us some topics that you guys like to hear about. We come from pretty unique and diverse backgrounds, and
Yeah.
we like to talk way too much. We talk way too much. You can ask my medical assistants. They think that I just don't ever stop talking, which has been one of the funny things, is because I'm used to teaching medical students in residency. And so I've transitioned. It's right now it's me, it's one front desk worker, and it's one MA. The MA is applying for medical school. She's incredibly
That's
smart.
cool.
And I'm just like teaching her like she's a medical student already. And she's eating it up. And I have a lot of fun doing it. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting to see the transition between teaching medical students and then just kind of teaching whoever's around right now.
Yeah.
And medicine's awesome because you teach people to continue to remind yourself of things you've learned in the past. And repetition is a huge thing that I learned was necessary to get through medical school. Repetition was the name of the game back then.
Yeah.
And it still is. Being a lifelong learner is more than just a buzzword. You need to keep reminding yourself of both fundamental disease processes that you've known in the past, but also keep updating your knowledge and continuing your medical education. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that, and kind of adapting to the old way of thinking of just testing based on facts, but actually now showing people how to find the best answers to their medical questions, even as doctors.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, it's CME now for you is continuing medical education, right? It's not like it's like you finish your training and you're done, right? Like you still have
There's
to,
no done.
the community, the board of dermatology, the board of orthopedic surgery, they always make sure that you are up to date, and you have to read journal articles and go to meetings, and it's just part of this lifelong learning aspect that we upon ourselves, and we want to encourage everyone to do in every aspect of their life. And we're probably guilty of not doing that a lot, but at least not with our jobs, because I think we pretty much, that's why we're doing this, right? Is because we've been dedicated to it for we're on year 9. Isn't that crazy? We're on year 9.
We've had some good times though. Definitely we're gonna need to consult with our pop culture experts, aka our wives, for some more interesting topics for next episode. We definitely wanted to make a good introduction this episode, but we really want to connect on a personal level with everyone that's listening to this. So reach out to us on Twitter, reach out to us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Let us know that you disagree with everything we said today. We don't care. We'll take any sort of criticism. You'd be surprised the type of criticism that we have gotten used to as far as our medical training goes, and it can be pretty brutal sometimes. So don't hold back on us. That includes friends and family listening to this. So any words of wisdom, tips, or just anything you want to hear from us, we're definitely open for that.
I think number 1 would be to upgrade our internet, because it just keeps on breaking down on us today.
Yeah.
So
this first episode, the audio quality is not going to be pristine. We're going to work on that. The internet's been kind of choppy. Doing remote podcasts or vlogs can be difficult because you are at the mercy of the internet. It's not always going to be perfect, but we wanted to throw up some content for you guys and just show you guys what we're all about. And that's really the name of the game. It's never going to be perfect, but you can continue to make things better. That's one of the things I learned in medical school. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And then once you get out, there's a lot of gray area. But you take what you can with the gray area, and you look at the facts, and you move on with the positives and try and build upon something. Just like anything in life, you can't build a house without just a couple of beams first. It's not going to build itself all in one day.
For sure. I love it.
All right, Zach, you got anything else to bring up?
Skin and Bones podcast, number 1.
Skin and Bones. Let's go. Episode number 1. All right, you guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We're going to watch some football. And Cynthia's family's in town. We're going to get some dinner with them. We're excited.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, her mom came down.
Go Pack.
Go Pack, go, eh? Oh, yeah. Don't you know? All right. Look for the 30-point buck next time. All right. All right. We'll sign off.
All right.
Until next time.